If you're a young adult and you're struggling to find friends around you, you are not alone. I don't know about you all, but when I graduated from college, I moved to a brand new city where I knew maybe just 2 or 3 other people, and I struggled to find Christian community. So if that is you, make sure you stay tuned for the rest of this video. Okay, the reality is that making friends as an adult is so hard. Why is it so hard? Because it requires intentionality. Busy is like our fill in the blank way of how we would describe our lives. But the reality is we just fill up our schedule. So in order to maintain a friendship, you have to be intentional about literally putting something on the calendar in order to meet up with someone. Let alone when you're in college, you have the close proximity to other people. It is much more convenient to befriend someone in college when they live a dorm across from you than it is in real life when your friend lives 30 minutes away. You guys are both working very busy jobs. You guys have very active lives. Like, it takes intentionality to maintain a friendship as an adult. Okay, before we get into the tips of how you can cultivate Christian community, I want to read 2 verses to you from Proverbs 27. Proverbs 27 verse 9 says, "The heartfelt counsel of a friend is as sweet as perfume and incense." And verse 17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend." The Bible literally talks about friendships. That friendships are refreshing to the soul, that they are as sweet as perfume and incense. That friendships, you can sharpen each other and make each other better and make each other stronger in the same way that iron sharpens iron. So we need friendships in our lives. We need relationships in our lives. Jesus didn't walk alone. Jesus walked with his disciples. Jesus was in community. So it's just as important for us to be in community. Let's break it down, starting with the first tip. I don't know if you guys have seen any of my other videos, but you know I always have to start with prayer. Prayer is the number one thing you can do before you do anything else. To talk to your Heavenly Father, to talk to the one who knows you the best, to talk to the one who knows the plan ahead of you. Sit down and talk to God. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to pray and ask God, who can I befriend? God, would you show me who you want me to be friends with? And just a quick little story time. When I first moved to Nashville, I prayed this exact prayer. And I felt like the Lord was telling me, you need to wait and be patient. And you know what I did? I said, that's cool and great, God, but I really don't want to wait right now, so I'm going to do everything on my own. And you know what that led me to do? Not make any lasting friendships. Yep. I decided to do things on my own, and God said, good luck with that. But I want you to pray and actually listen to what God says, because that is what will set you up for success. That is what will help you make these lasting friendships, these people who will be in your lives for longer than just a season. As we start with prayer, I have 3 different prayers that you can pray. The first one is, God, will you lead me and guide me when it comes to friendships? I want you to come to God humbly, to remove the pride that you have, remove that and come to God and ask if he will lead you and ask if he will guide you. And after you do that, this one is the challenging one. The second prayer I want you to pray is, God, would you remove anyone from my life who is not meant to be there? I don't know if you all have the same struggle of having friends who aren't necessarily great friends to you. And I'm someone who is such a people pleaser, right? And I want everyone to like me and I want everyone to be my friend. But I feel like there's people that sometimes we have in our lives that aren't really meant to be there. And maybe those friends take advantage of you. Maybe those friends aren't very kind to people. Maybe there's friends where the ministry is an opportunity with them, but maybe they're not meant to be your closest friend. That moment when you are praying for God to remove the people who aren't supposed to be in your life, that's kind of a moment of surrender. Of God, like, I want you to cleanse my friendships. God, I want you to clean out whatever isn't of you. That is a prayer that's hard to pray, but you have to trust that God knows you the best, that God loves you, and that he wants you to have these incredible friendships. Like, if you look at David and Jonathan in the Bible, like, I want to have a friendship like that, Lord. And the Lord is capable of creating that for you. And the third prayer I want you to pray to God is a very specific prayer. And that is very individual to you. But I want you to pray for exactly what kind of friendship you want. Pray specifically. Like for me, my prayer to God would be, Lord Jesus, would you bring me a friend who loves you, who challenges me in my faith, who has you as the center of their life. Maybe for you that could look like, Lord, would you bring me a friend who would work out with me, who loves you and who has you at the center of their life. Like pray very specifically for what kind of friend you want God to bring into your life. And I will say that God is the miracle working God, and I love praying so specific, even though God literally already knows the desires of my heart. Even though God knows what perfect friend would be for me, I still want to physically write down my prayer of what I want and what I'm looking for, and I want to see what God does when he answers it. Because God could very well answer your prayer so specifically. One thing that has been really encouraging for me in my faith walk is to look at these prayers that I've written down that have been so specific and see God answer them in the perfect way. Number 2 that I have for you is to find a local church. And I know some people have church hurt, and I know some people are hesitant to go to church, but I think the key to cultivating Christian community is being involved in a local church. So step number 1 within that is that you need to find a local church to go to. Step number 2, my personal recommendation is to kind of linger after service, or maybe show up a little bit early before service and just say hello to the people around you. Introduce yourself to the people around you. You never know who could be your next friend. I would say number 3, when it comes to your church, join a small group. I have made some incredible friendships just from joining a small group of women at my church, in the way that you can meet every single week and get to know these women. And an extra challenge, if you are in a small group, I encourage you to reach out to people within your group and try and hang out with them outside of group, because that will allow you to build individual relationships with every person in the group. And the 4th thing, inside of this church realm, I would encourage you to get involved in your church, serve in your church. You can build relationships just from being on the hospitality team with someone. You can build relationships just with being on the worship team with someone, or doing the slides, or doing the videos. You can connect with people by being involved in serving at your church. That is one of the ways that I have found community here in Nashville, just from being involved in my church and literally lingering before and after an event or a service. I've been able to develop relationships and even create friendships with some people from my church. The 3rd and most important way that you can create Christian community is to be that friend. Be the friend that you want other people to be to you. Be that friend who's intentional. And what I mean when I say that is be the friend who actively reaches out to people. Be the friend who actively invites people. Be that friend who is so inviting. And I think there's so many ways that you can do that. Like, for example, say you're going to a church event and you know somebody else who's going. Reach out to that person and ask if they want to grab dinner before that event, or ask them if they want to get ice cream after that event. Because you know that you wish somebody would do that for you. Like, you wish somebody would come up to you after church and ask you if you want to grab lunch. You know that you wish someone would come up to you and ask if you want to grab coffee sometime during the week. Be that friend that you want other people to be to you. I would say that it is both easy and it's hard to be that inviting friend. 1, because you don't want that to be unreciprocated, right? If you are constantly asking other people to do this, this, and this, and this, and nobody's asking you in return, that feels like nobody really cares about you. And I know that feeling too well for myself. But what I have found is that when I reach out to other people, when I seek after other people, when I initiate for other people, they start initiating too, and then it becomes something that is not just me. What I have found in being the intentional friend is that the more that I reach out and initiate, not everyone is going to do that back. Like, there's some people that literally just will not be intentional. What I found is that the people who are worth befriending, the people who are worth having a lasting friendship with, those people will be intentional with you. Maybe initially you are the one who is being the most intentional, but over time, that should become a two-way street. And if you notice that over time, you are continually over and over and over and over and over again, the intentional friend, and maybe if you never reach out to them at all, and they never reach out to you, maybe that is someone who is not meant to be in your life forever. Think of some ways that you can be the friend that you'd want to have, especially when it comes to love languages. Like, if you have a friend who you know loves gifts, like, what would it look like to literally go grab yourself breakfast and buy breakfast from them and drop it off at their house? What would it look like to write your friend a note and literally mail it to them? What would it look like for you to reserve some time for you and your friend to spend time together? Think about hitting all the different love languages and how much that could help your friend. Like if your friend has been talking about something that she wants from the grocery store or something, and you just happen to be in Target and you pick it up for her. Think about the ways that you can love other people well the same way that you would want to be loved well. It's so funny when I think about this topic of like being the person you would want. I think about how many people are like, be the person that you'd want to fall in love with, like in a very much relationships context, but that works in friendships. By being a good friend, you are someone who does not engage in gossip, who does not engage in backstabbing or talking bad about others behind their backs, but you need to be a friend who builds other people up, who encourages people to dream, who encourages people to try new things, to try new hobbies, and even being willing to support your friends in what they're doing. Like showing up for their music gig, showing up for some release that they're having. Like show up for your friends. Support your friends. If you want to have good friends, you need to be a good friend. Okay, the fourth way that you can cultivate Christian friendships is to host. I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, well, my space isn't that big. I don't have a lot of room. Who cares? There is so much power in hosting other people into your house and just creating a welcoming and inviting environment where people can come to, where people feel safe, where people can open up, where people can have fun, where people can laugh. One of my favorite things to do has just been inviting a group of girls to come over to my place to eat a meal together. Like that is so simple, and yes, you can make it super fancy and have a theme night and have all the decorations, but hosting can be so simple. Like nobody needs all the decorations, nobody needs all this really expensive food. Give people some crackers and cheese and they will come over. Like feed people, yes, but does it have to be the most expensive meal? Does it have to be the most expensive snacks? Like people are willing to come to a place literally if you say there's gonna be food there. Think about how nice and kind it is when you feel like somebody invites you over for dinner. For example, say there's a friend that you meet at church and you're lingering after service and you're talking to them. And what if your idea to hang out with them is, hey, why don't you come over and let's make dinner together? That way it's an event that you guys are both equally a part of, but it's something so fun, and then you get to share a meal together. Think about hosting a friend over to have a movie night with you when you usually would do something by yourself. Some other ideas of how you can host people over: think about maybe rewatching a sermon from Sunday together with a friend, or watching a worship night together with a friend. Something that's even cool for women to do is we love to get ready together. That's something that I learned in college, and that's something that as a married woman, I don't really have the same vibe of anymore, but like playing music and like doing your makeup next to your friend or figuring out what you want to wear, that is so fun, and I miss having those moments. So all my single ladies, don't take those moments for granted. But I say all that to say there's so many easy ways that you can host. Even if you're going to an event with someone and you ask if they want to carpool and park their car at your house and you all drive together. Like think about little ways that you could host someone over for little events, and that would make them feel so loved and cared for and seen. Okay, my fifth way that you can create Christian community is through having deep conversations. I know that we are all so used to the small talk. Hey, how are you? Good, good, bye. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you. Good to see you. All of that small talk jazz is not going to create any depth in your relationships. But if you want to create Christian community around you, it needs to be your job to ask people deeper questions. Like if you are sitting down and having a meal with someone, ask for their testimony. Share your testimony. I encourage you to ask someone how they're actually doing. Ask what's been challenging in their life. Ask what's been hard in their life. Ask what they feel like God has been teaching them. And share what God has been teaching you. Do you know how much I feel like it builds other people's faith for you to share what God is walking you through, for you to share what God is doing in your life, for you to share the good things and the bad things that's going on? That gives this opportunity to relate to somebody on such a deep level. When you are vulnerable about what is hard in your life, other people relate to that. Like people are actually not doing as well as what we think they are because of this lie of like the highlight reel on social media. But when you actually sit down and have a conversation with someone and they talk about something that is really hard for them, You can 1, relate to them. You can 2, encourage them in what they're doing. You can 3, you can even pray for them. I would encourage you to pray over your friends. Like, ask if you can pray for them before you all leave each other. Ask if you can pray for them whenever you first get together, before you eat your food together, before you drink your coffee. Like, create these moments where you can have more depth in your relationship, and people will appreciate that. I don't think everyone who hears somebody ask them a deep question will want to answer it. Some people are definitely more guarded than others. How will you know if people are ready to get on that next level, ready to dive deeper and have a relationship with you, if you never even ask them a question that makes them think? Like, I want us to be so used to asking somebody so much more than what they do for work. Like, that is a lame question in my books. How long have they lived there? Cool, but like, I want to know you. I want to know you as a person. What things bring you joy? What things bring you to this place of having pure joy? What things make you sad? What things do you long for? What things do you dream for? There is so much more to people than what they do for work. Like, your identity is so much more than what you do. I hope that you can hang on to that in the conversations that you have with new friends and new people, that you will want to know who they are truly as a person. I don't know if you all have heard of the We're Not Really Strangers, but I think they have one for just friends that you can go through with a friend just to help get to know each other a little bit better. All of that to say, I hope these 5 tips have helped give you tangible ways of how you can create Christian community around you. And at the end of the day, I feel like your community is what you make of it. That if you are someone who sits back and waits for other people to invite you out or waits for other people to initiate plans with you, I feel like you're going to be alone more times than not. For you to sit and wait for other people to do that. If you commit to being that friend that you want to have in the way that you are intentional, in the way that you initiate plans, I think you will find yourself having so many friendships. I don't think that if you reach out to every single person, that every single person is going to be your best friend. And I think time is your friend. That creating these friendships take time, that developing these deeper friendships take time. So if you're watching this and you've tried all these 5 tips and you've tried them all in 1 week and you're really discouraged, 1, keep trying. 2, be patient and know that good things take time. And especially if God is the one who's leading you, you can trust him that he will lead you to the right places and he will lead you to the right person. One more tool that I want to give you all when it comes to creating friendships and developing relationships is this book. This is called Find Your People by Jenny Allen, and I will link this book down below in my description. I just finished reading this book a couple months ago and it is so good. This book actually gives you like tangible actions you can take to create friendships around you. If you are someone who is pretty guarded when it comes to friendships, if you've been hurt by people, this is also a really good book because it talks to finding relationships from that perspective. From being wounded by people in the past, of how can you get back out there from a friendship perspective as an adult. If you've watched this far and you liked this video, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I would love to hear in the comments which method you are going to use to help create your Christian community below.